cents. Even 2020 F-150, 0% for 72 months. Or Farm Bureau members save up to $42.50 off sticker. Instead, and that's before we talk, plus a free lifetime powertrain warranty on all new and most pre-owned.
Ain't nothing to it but to just go on and do it. So get in here. Let's do some business.
Over 40 expeditions on the ground and on sale at Woody Folsom Ford. Better get to Baxley and talk to us. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. We make it easy.
Let's roll.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. A court appearance in Atlanta today for Garrett Rolfe, the officer charged with murder in a shooting death.
Garrett Wolfe did turn himself in yesterday, and he's expected to make his first court appearance at noon today at the Fulton County Courthouse, likely via video conference. He is facing 11 charges, including felony murder for shooting Rayshard Brooks in the back twice and killing him. The district attorney said yesterday they will not be seeking the death penalty. Rolfe faces up to life in prison if convicted.
Fox's Brian Yanis in Atlanta. Officer Devin Brosnan, who faces charges including aggravated assault, is free on bond. And 26 states are now seeing a rise in confirmed coronavirus cases. Scientists at the University of Pennsylvania say Florida could be the next epicenter, as it reported more than 3,200 new cases Thursday. America's listening to Fox News.
There's never been a more critical time. Fox News Media is bringing America together. America is watching news and fearless debate on Fox News Channel. We're invested in you from Wall Street to Main Street to your street with Fox Business. America is listening wherever you are, on radio and podcasts, trending the stories you need anytime you want online, and Fox Nation, streaming the entertainment that celebrates America. Fox News Media, America's news, and much more. From the Fox News Podcasts Network. Download Perino and Steyerwalt. I'll tell you what.
I noticed that the Democrats were very critical of the government. And fine, okay, whatever. But their solutions were more government. But government is not working at all. And look, I understand that the state unemployment systems got overwhelmed, but 36 million people who have filed for unemployment, 16 million of them have yet to see a dime.
Amazing. Subscribe and listen now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com. America's listening to Fox News.
Murphy's Builder Supply is where you need to go for all your home improvement projects and hardware needs. They've been serving folks in this area since 1946. Murphy's offers some products and services that you may not know about. They now sell ammunition, both bullets and shells. Murphy's also sells personalized tags for dog collars. They build customized screens for windows and doors. Murphy's can rekey locks, and of course they can make keys. They cut glass for windows, plus Murphy's has monthly doorbuster specials. Check their Facebook page to see what's on sale. Murphy's Builder Supply, 156 Northeast Broad Street, Jessup. A bank that puts people first. First Southern Bank, investing in you since 1907. Serving Jessup, Patterson, and Waycross. A true community bank led by experienced neighborhood bankers that live and work in our community. Offering competitive loan options for commercial and consumer clients. Stop by the Jessup branch and meet branch manager Mandy Yeomans and her fantastic team. Call 912-810-1540. Let First Southern Bank be your bank of choice. First Southern Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Damon's Famous Fingers and Wings restaurant in Jessup is now open for business, practicing social distancing, but still serving that great food that Damon's is famous for. Come inside or come through the drive-thru, but Damon's is open inside and welcomes back its customers. The menu's the same, the service is fast, and the food is fantastic, and the sauces remain the same, mild, wild, insane, or inferno. The number is the same, 588-WING, 588-9464. Damon's Restaurant on West Cherry Street in Jessup. Dining room now open for business. Come on in and enjoy a great meal today.
7:59 here at the Big Dog WIFO FM. Time for the world-famous Butch and Bob Show on WIFO. Brought to you this morning by Murphy Builder Supply, First Southern Bank, and Damon's Famous Fingers and Wings.
It's time now for the show. We got a special guest. Always good to have the school superintendent in, Jay Brinson. A lot going on. The hope that a regular school year is going to take place shortly. The high school graduation date is set for Saturday, July 18th, but the final details of that still need to be worked out. But we ran the actuality on the news again about the conversation you had with the board about the hope that they'll have a normal graduation. That's the hope, but as we said, it's still a month away, so still have to sit back and wait and see how all this COVID-19 numbers go in Wayne County and what's the safest way to have the graduation. But, Jay, appreciate you coming in. Always good to see you.
Yeah, always good to be with you guys, and appreciate the opportunity to be with you this morning.
Let's talk first about the graduation again. The date has been set. The time's been set as well. 10 o'clock that morning, right, Saturday?
That's correct.
In July, it's going to be a hot day, so
yeah.
I'm sure you want to get them in and out. But the conversation I heard at the board meeting was even if they have the stadium, they're going to try to block off the seating. Is that correct?
Well, we don't have control of it right now. I mean, right now, social distancing is, in far as mass gatherings, is still in place. I mean, there are actually high schools having traditional live ceremonies on their graduation ceremonies right now, but they are exercising social distancing, and it's a little easier when you have 56 graduates. You can do that a little bit easier. The larger you are, the more challenging it is. And so, it depends what the guidelines are at this time. And the governor has continued to loosen up things with his executive order. Even after the last change, he's come out, I think he's made some more changes to restaurants and dining establishments. You see the Georgia High School, again, has made some changes that more or less doubled the amount of students that are able to get together. Still with a lot of restrictions and guidelines they have to go by. So we hope that trend continues. And so we'll just have to make that call the closer we get, whether it's going to be live graduation, everybody attends. I know that's my wishes, and I think that's the consensus of the board at this time. But if we do have to exercise social distance, the only way you can do that is limit the attendance. And so, we've done some math. We do have a plan to, we'll mark off some of the seating that, won't be available and ask everybody and, to spread out, and we'll limit it. We'll give out tickets, and we've done that one time before. And, but that excludes some folks. We'll live stream it and all, but people want to be there in person. So, but we'll do the best we can. I mean, that's where we are. We're trying to balance, just like the rest of the state is in everything, balance safety with, survive and keeping the state of Georgia moving forward. So, and that's kind of the trend. That's everything that we get in the school areas, and I see the governor doing that. There is no 100% prevention of this virus. There's no cure for the virus, and there's no FDA-approved treatment of the virus at this time. So, it's getting more and more shifting toward personal decisions. And so that's what we're trying to balance, fold it in. We're getting our plans together for opening the school as well.
And like I tell everybody, the decision right now is not in your hands. The governor still has control of that, right? That's right. We're still following the governor's guidance, and the governor's he's the one set the standards and as long as he eases the restrictions. If he says you can have it, you can have it. But if he says you have to do the social distancing, you have to do the social distancing. Well, let me
elaborate on that a little bit. That's correct. We're going to do what the governor says. When he has an executive order in place, you have to go by it, or you're breaking the law. That's the bottom line. But there's going to be a shift. Eventually, it will be shifted down to the local level for local officials to make that decision. We're meeting weekly with our health officials, our local governments, our local law enforcement, those decision makers, or Board of Education. We got a meeting, in 27 minutes with those guys. We're meeting weekly, and that's been very helpful for everyone, just to kind of be a sounding board and communicate what's going on. But before we do anything, that plan will be rolled out, to our local officials, our local Department of Health. The governor's empowered those folks to kind of make sure they're okay or approving. They're not the Department of Health's not the police. Not police and not enforcing the guidelines and that sort of thing. But you certainly want to be safe, and so we're talking to those folks. We've got a good relationship. Our health department is second to none in this area. We got a great regional director and Dr. Parks, and so we talk regularly. And so, right now as it stands, I'm confident that we can have some kind of traditional graduation ceremony in JC Stadium. It's just going to be a matter of, did the governor continue to loosen things up, or was there things changed and he's had to tighten it back down? And so it's hard to project that what's going to happen in a month, 6 weeks from now.
And the other question is, of course, the upcoming school year. The plan right now is going to begin on time, but that could change as well. So, but right now, the school system is making plans to have it begin on time. Is that correct?
That's correct. I mean, that's we're making plans. There's still information coming out. Again, the Department of Health is trying to identify areas and get some metrics as far as what's considered low outbreak, minimal or moderate outbreak, and severe outbreak to kind of let you know where you are. And, of course, that changes. That's fluid. Doherty County for right now, they were a severe outbreak at one time. But just because you have those cases, most folks recover, good Lord willing. And so, they're no longer a factor anymore because once you've had it and recovered, you have the antibodies and you can't get it again. So, so it's kind of a rolling 14-day period is what they're using. So there's more information and guidance coming out that we haven't gotten yet. So we'll fold that into what we're doing. We're developing plans for really all of those kind of three areas. We are picking up a few more cases here in Wayne County. Not when you look at everybody around us, we're still, I think, at 40 or 44 or something like that. Cases. When you look around at, Appling County, I think, over 250. Coffee County over 300. Ware County over 300. So. But we do have to watch it, and we are doing that. And just because you get a case or somebody's tested positive, you have to look at it even further than that. Is it severe enough? Were they able to quarantine that person? Was it severe enough they had to go in the hospital? I think as of now, there was only maybe 5 or 6 folks that's actually been or recorded as been to the hospital, been admitted to the hospital, which is great. We have no deaths in Wayne County at this time. So again, that's all positive things that you factor into the decisions that you're making. But our hopes are to open up school the traditional way, and now it will look different. We'll put a lot of things in place to try to make it as safe as possible.
As we mentioned before we got on air, things have changed so much since March. Blake Tillery made the statement up in Atlanta. Everything looked pretty good back in March. The economy was booming. They were looking for the teachers to get another pay raise, but with the coronavirus hitting, as you mentioned, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Tough times are ahead. They're up there trying to pass a budget, but that budget's definitely going to affect the local school system's budget all across the state of Georgia. That's what we want to talk about. You've got the budget on the agenda for Tuesday for approval, but how hard of a hit is it for the local school system after the state makes their cuts to the education budget statewide? Well,
the projected cuts are it's tremendous. It's big, and it's affecting everybody. Our representatives with Stephen, Bill, and Blake, they do a tremendous job for us. I think and pray for Blake all the time. Welcome to the game, Mr. Appropriations Chairman, having to kind of lead that Senate side. So proud of the work. Can't say enough, and so thankful for. It sounds kind of crazy. Thank you for only cutting us this millions of dollars. But I promise they've done some great work. I think they're set to maybe vote on that on the budget on the Senate side maybe today, and so it will go to the other side, of course, and we hope it kind of continues the route it's on now because the Senate really done some good work and has kind of reduced it a little bit. It went from 14 to 11. There's some grants that we get here in Wayne County, some equalization monies. Right now they're leaving that alone, which is a lot of money that comes to us to supplement our QB allotment bottom line. And so if they leave that alone, that reduces that cut. But we do have a healthy fund balance, and the board is supporting us, not furloughing teachers at this time, no major cuts. We've not riffed anybody. We've not cut programs or any of that. We know going in we're going to have a deficit, and there's no way we're not going to go through next school year and end June 30th of 2021 without going in our fund balance. But we have double the recommended fund balance right now, so I think that's okay, and we could do that for 2 or 3 years, really. Now after that it starts getting a little tight. But we built that fund balance up for. We knew that going into this 5-year eSPLOST cycle because we had a lot of projects, and we were really trying to spread that eSPLOST across a lot of things. With of course James E. Bacon being the top, a track, some other facility needs as well as technology or bus fleets. We're committed to that. And so we wanted to make sure we had enough money to get all of those different areas taken care of.
You mentioned the projects, James E. Bacon, the renovation, that was the big project in the last SPLOST that people voted for. Where do we stand with that project? Is it already begun? Are we still waiting on bids, or where we stand?
Well, we're using a little bit different model, and I know everybody's anxious as well as I am. I've been working on that project for since I walked in the office of the superintendent as far as the planning. So I promise you, nobody wants to get it done or get it started any more than I can. But we have to get all the plans down to really the nickel, because we're using what's called a construction management model, which means they're going to give us a guaranteed maximum price, and it can't go over that price. So they have to go out there and make sure everything is, and put a pencil to paper to everything that we're going to do, and they're going to say, here's the guaranteed maximum price, and the board has to approve that, negotiate it out or wherever we are. So the design phase of it, which is the first phase, is been very challenging. That site, as you remember, the park and pickup drop off is it's not safe. It's been a problem forever since we went back to neighborhood schools. Really, since it moved back to K1 school, wasn't good either. But anyway, so we're trying to solve all of that. There's plans, with the city to do some different things with Sunset Boulevard. So we want to get our school kind of secluded off that main thoroughfare there that's looking to expand, widen in the future for truck traffic. So a lot of traffic things we're trying to solve, and we're looking to spend anywhere from a total, I don't know, $12 to $14 million on that project. We want it right, and at the same time we want to exercise or be very mindful of that area over there. That's I think you can further develop that tech center. We've put a lot of money into that. We have that Coastal Plains, the old Thomas P. James building, which used to house our alternative school. Those are solid buildings we put money into. My vision for, and this is maybe 7-8 years down the road, but you could go in and put a nice board office that ties into the tech center, that's connected to it, right there in that green space that's kind of in the center of your community. Further develop that area to make it nice centerpiece. And then you can move your Coastal Plains over into the existing board office building. And we really need to work toward a standalone alternative school setting for our middle and high school students.
I know you've addressed this many times, but you still hear it. People say, why didn't they just build a new school with James E. Bacon? Sure. So go over that one more time.
Yeah.
Because I still hear that question all the time. I try to explain it to them, but they don't get it.
And that's a valid question. Why are you going to, why are you spending $14 million? Well, that in 14 it's going to be less than that. But let's say worst case scenario is $14 million to build a new elementary school for 700 students, 750 students is probably what you'd build it for. Right now, that's going to run you probably 16 to 17 million. We only generate 15, 16 million, maybe 17 at the most in a 5-year East Blast. All right. So first of all, decision was made. We can't go any further with our bus fleet. Technology, we're way behind. So we needed to spend some of our East Blast dollars on those type projects. The other, largest factor with that is the capital outlay, the state participation in building. It depends on how old the building is. So to build new at James E. Bacon, or we could have went right over there where the old high school is. I understand what a lot of folks are saying. Why didn't they build new right here? The state was only going to participate $1 million. Okay, to do a major renovation. It's called a modernization program. We went through a lot of planning, a lot of walking through. Ray Thornton done a lot of legwork on that. The state's going to participate right at $4.5 million. So that's $3.5 million we're getting free from the state that we wouldn't have gotten from building new. Not to mention you wouldn't have the money to do anything with technology, anything with buses, anything with any other facility. With this, if we're only spending $10 million, out of our East Blast, because we're getting $4.5 million from the state, that gives us $6 or $7 million to spread out across buses, technology, any other needs that we need to go. And that's not going to get us where we need, but that does give James E. Bacon. James E. Bacon is going to be the shell of that building. The gym's going to be redone. You know how big that is. The old Nest used to be a high school gym. So it's really going to be nice and utilized, and I think there's no doubt the community's going to be proud of it.
And how old is the building at James E. Bacon?
Well, that's the thing, Jonathan. That's a good question. Parts of it are extremely old, all right, and then parts of it are not, they don't meet the threshold as far as the state recognizing it. So there's parts of it only, 25 years old. We just built a new pre-K to house our pre-K classrooms. I don't remember if it's 3 or 4 over there. Gosh, that it may only be 10, 12 years old. So they don't participate in new buildings that you just built. So that was the whole challenge with it.
And at one point, the renovation project was supposed to be done like this time.
Right.
Right now, nothing's being done. I guess that was due to the coronavirus
and
stuff like that.
No, I'm not going to blame. I can't blame everything on coronavirus. I know we used to blame everything on El Nino. Remember when we had the blaming on El Nino? So we can't blame everything. That certainly did not help it. Everybody's offices were shut down and moved a little bit slower. But the whole design thing, we're trying to tie it in to make sure, it's safe. But when you think about changing the frontage of the building, you got to make sure your trucks can get in and drop off supplies to the lunchroom and then get in and out. We want to separate our bus traffic away from your car traffic, and at the same time making sure that, functionally and aesthetically that this James E. Bacon is on par, if not better, than the other 4 elementary schools that we have in Wayne County. But we're close. I mean, that's extremely close. We're finishing up the site plans now, and even some of the civil engineering and things. We're close to getting down the road, and they'll be able to start immediately because there's going to be new construction. There's going to be a new entrance. It's going to look very similar to the other elementary schools as far as a covered drop off, and you walk into a office area, and then they have like a commons area and then that's part of the dining room like the other schools, and so they'll be able to start on that immediately, and also maybe the gym, and then they'll kind of have to hop around. There'll be some construction, some things going on during the school year, I would think.
Just joining us in the studios with us is School Superintendent Jay Brinson, talking about the hope of a regular school year coming up. Another project that people vote on the SPLOST besides the James E. Bacon renovation was the track. That still seems to be a sticking point as far as the permit. If you haven't been able to get the permit, and that permit is coming from Washington, D.C., is that correct?
Yeah, the Army Corps of Engineers governs those. When we made the decision to put it at the high school in that location, to put it had to go into a wetlands area. And anytime you go in a wetlands area, I mean, you just have to do what they ask you to do, and it's a long process. And the last part we just completed that it required us to do is go out there and put up some, I think, gosh, it wasn't much bigger than a piece of paper, so 12 by 12 signs that dictate this is a wetlands area. Don't go past here on that back of the practice fields. So we've done that. We had to take pictures of it and submit it to the Corps. So we're waiting on the Corps engineers, and they've indicated that was the last thing that they needed. And then we'll have to purchase those mitigation credits from the bank, and then we'll be able to get started.
Are they taking bids on the track? We got it. Somebody already awarded the contract. Where's that?
They have taken bids on the track, but again, it's that same model. We're using the same construction management company, so there has to be a bottom line on that. So we're going to have to build new practice football fields adjacent to that. So they're working those numbers up. But see, those mitigation credits that I'm talking about, those are real fluid. It depends. It depends what's going on. They just kind of tell you where you're buying. You're in the wetlands, and I'm simplifying it, 2 acres. So you're going to have to buy 2 acres over here. No telling where, and it's whatever, $10,000 an acre or $20,000 an acre, and they give you a price, and you write them a check, and so that has to be folded into the overall price of the track project. But they've taken bids, and they're ready to roll. I mean, the construction, our contractor's ready to roll. He has that subcontractor ready to go, and again, just waiting on a permit. You can't stick a shovel in the dirt without a permit.
Another thing ready to roll is the staff, right? The staff's been, I know that's something that you worked on as superintendent to try to make sure that we have the staff in place, because years past there would be last minute, trying to find teachers or students, but that's all in place.
I'd say we're 99% full for our staff, ready to go next year, and so I mean we're committed to that. We've kind of worked on that the last 7 years that I've been here, kind of fine tuning that hiring process, and we start early. We're one of the earlier systems as far as getting contracts out, and we try, we want to know who's going to be working with our kids. Either you are, you aren't, and if you're not, then we got to replace you with a high quality person. And that was kind of getting in front of the line of some of these new graduates coming out. I'm excited about the group of young teachers. It's been a little abnormal. We've had a big group of Wayne County graduates coming back to actually teach in our school system right out of college. So that's always a positive thing.
You mentioned the bus fleet. Bus drivers always an issue. I know we addressed that last year and made some changes. where do we stand as far as our bus drivers? We ready to roll with that as well?
Well, we'll always advertise we need bus drivers, but we did make some changes there, compensation wise. Really tried to increase the opportunity for bus drivers to make more money, and actually increase their pay. I think that helped some. I think we saw a little bit. We're still not where we need to be as far as drivers, but we'll continue to try to improve things for those folks. They work extremely hard. I mean, we don't have school without bus drivers, and they do a tremendous job. It's tough, hauling 70 screaming students and, trying to be safe and focus on the road. So they do a great job for us, but we're in good shape there. Like I said, we're committed to, purchasing buses. We are purchasing 5 brand new air-conditioned buses every year. This is the 3rd year coming up, so those will be ordered soon, if not already ordered, and they'll show up in the fall. That's just kind of how that cycle rolls. But we're making some progress there.
I see you got some literature there. Before we get that, though, I want to. We had the story on the news that the governor and state school superintendent Richard Woods asking the federal government to waive the public school testing requirement for another school year. So, your thoughts on that?
No, I can't. To see the governor and the state superintendent arm in arm, and they're communicating and on the same page with so much. I'm just, superintendents around the state just can't say enough about Governor Kemp and his commitment to public education. That's the right thing to do. We don't need to focus, in my opinion, we don't need to focus on high-stakes testing, accountability. That's not the time for that. We need to get back to a sense of normalcy. Let's take care of our children, try to take care of employees, take care of our community members, and take some of this stress and anxiety off of folks. Let's work toward a sense of normalcy. That's the worst thing you can do for school-age children all the way through high school is mess with their schedule. And that's just been totally disruptive. So we're committed to doing that in my role. So that takes that out of play. And so that loosens up some things. And so what I mean by that, at the high school, we do some extra, because they're so large, 1,500 students, and we do some things try to get kids some extra support or some extra remediation and try to get them ready to pass a test, to be quite honest with you. And so if we're not having testing, that's something we may can massage a little bit in the numbers and actually be a savings to the school system. And we will go through this year. We were at the end of the hiring season, so we weren't able to really cut a lot of personnel. We didn't want to rift people. Again, that's not the right thing to do, in my opinion, for people. But we'll go through this year and try to tighten our belt a little bit. When positions come open, unless they're absolutely necessary, we'll look to not replace them. Class sizes, we may look to cut those, some teachers that don't return for whatever reason and bolster them back up a little bit and try to get savings. That's, again, trying to help our bottom line come June 30th of 2021.
And one other issue that was discussed at the board meeting a couple of weeks ago, I never heard a final decision, but I think the final decision has been made about the band. The band came and requested to go back where they used to be in the stadium. Have they made a final decision on that?
Yeah, they're going back up in the stands. They've got a plan to put them, back where they originally were. Feel like they can kind of seclude them. So, they, Dr. McDaniel met with Mr. McGee and some band folks met out there, and they got a plan. So, those bleachers in the end zone will still be available, more or less for the public to sit in. Some of the overflow. We're still going to try to encourage folks to sit down. We made some strides on that last year. Our stadium is our stadium right now. No plans. We don't have any money to do any major renovations there. That decision was made, so we'll have to do the best we can. So we'll encourage people to utilize those bleachers, and that's a unique perspective to watch old football. I've heard Mr. McPippin say that old football folks that maybe used to coach and play, they like that view where they can see holes opening up, and, linebackers stunting in, that sort of thing. So
and they'll take and come up with a way to isolate it from the field so fans can get in and out without.
Correct. Yes, sir. There's a entrance that kind of comes in and out, and of course we'll have to have either an administrator or probably an extra security officer up there just to kind of monitor that, because it is kind of on playing surface. It's closer, but I think it's safe enough we can monitor it.
Well, like I said, you got some literature there. I just want to make sure you get everything you want to talk about. So
yeah, and what I have is just a preliminary plan I'll share with the board Tuesday night of what the things that we're going to add to our practices and procedures for for the normal school day. Some of the things that we have, we've gotten some guidance from the Department of Health and the Georgia Department of Education, and we're kind of working in small committees to address each area. I mean, it's kind of divided up into different areas. Practicing prevention, transportation of students, which is a big one. I'll mention that in a minute ago. But entering buildings, serving meals, transitioning around the school, large group gatherings. Of course, teaching and learning. That's our core work. We can't forget about that. But and, of course, protecting vulnerable populations. And I'll just touch on, I don't want to belabor the point. I know we're running out of time. But, there's some things that we're going to really have to pay attention to. We're trying to have normal school, okay, as much as we can. We're going to continue to try to educate our kids about, of course, the biggest thing is if you don't feel well, stay home. Now, that goes for adults, students. I look for attendance to not be very good this year because we want to err on the side of caution with this thing. Just because you have fever does not mean you have COVID-19. You still have other illnesses and infections that causes fever, but we're going to err on that side. So that's the biggest thing. We're going to educate our children. Of course, we're going to have hand sanitizer, mask, all those things. We're going to mess with. We'll work with schedules around the building to try to cut down transition where people are gathered up, even as much when folks get to school. We're looking at breakfasts. Maybe they get up, when they come in, they go get their breakfast, and maybe the older grades go to their classroom. Maybe the younger grades is a little tougher. And now you got room maybe in the lunchroom to spread those students out. Those types of things, but it depends on the specifics, and we can't put in a plan every single thing for every single school. So we got to give our administration some guidance and then ask them to manage the day-to-day activities. Because the bottom line is transportation. There's, I'm just telling you, being realistic with it, there's no way to social distance on buses. Okay, it's that's cut and dry to me. You social distance on the bus, and that's all you do. You carry students to school, and you be there about an hour, and then it's time that you got to get them home unless, there's not enough time in the day to do that. Or, people don't realize this, but, we could go by the state law that we're not required to provide transportation to students that live within 1.5 miles of the school. Now, that would cut down tremendously, and we could social distance on the bus at that time. I don't recommend that, and I don't think our board's going to support that approach as well. That's our culture too. We send buses by just about every house in Wayne County, and I think we can continue that. Now, what we have to do is provide hand sanitizer, mask, and then of course some intense cleaning daily. When students get off the buses, we'll drive them down the road a couple of miles with the windows down, air them out, and then bring them back, wipe them down. The big fogger gun that we have kind of going through classrooms and things now. Those types of things are what you're going to see to try to get back to some normalcy, and then we'll just monitor and deal with problems.
Well, Jay, it's always good to have you on the show. Like I said, the hope from everybody is that we do have a normal school year and that football and all these fall sports will kick in. Like I said, you mentioned at the board meeting, we stressed it the other day. It's just sad when you think about all what this senior class missed out on. It's nobody's really apologizing them. That's who needs the apology. These seniors that just got shafted in college and high school. It's just kind of sad to think how much they missed out on their senior year. But hopefully they'll have the normal graduation again. It's the date Saturday, July 18th. And the final decision on how many people will be allowed will still be made down the road. We're still about a month out, but if the trend continues and things continue to progress as they are, again, let's just hope and pray that everything works out and we'll have a normal school year, because that's what people are hoping for, trying to get back to some type of normalcy. We mentioned the other day, it's good to see the recreation games back out at the ballpark. Those things to be going well. They got the big concert this weekend at the drive-in with Colt Ford. I'm sure there's going to be a big crowd there, so people are ready to get out and do things, but hopefully in a few months we'll see school buses rolling, school bells ringing, and school will be back in session in Wayne County, and
certainly hope so.
We're just hoping that it all goes well. But you got a tough task, a lot going on. The budget's a big thing. Like I said, that's a big hit, but like I said, they did cut it back from, they were talking 14%, now they're talking 11% cut, but that's still a major cut statewide. No pay raises for all that's out the window. So I said it's just going to be interesting to see how quickly everything does get back to normal and things progress. But always good to see you. You're welcome anytime, and happy Father's Day.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
World famous Butch and Bob Show on WIFO, brought to you this morning by Murphy Builder Supply, Damon's Famous Fingers and Wings, and First Southern Bank. Good morning from the Big Dog WIFO at 8:30. Since 1946, Murphy's Builder Supply has been serving the folks of Jessup, Wayne, and